Hello, good night. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions, but most importantly, I'm here to talk about solutions. I'm really excited and amped up because we're here getting results for our clients, and we're and and so I want to share with you ways that we've achieved this. I'm going to go over 5 ways. Now, it is basically about getting the work permit because the work permit is a part of it. The reason why this is so important is because we're focusing on solutions. Hi there on Instagram. We're focusing on solutions to be able to get protection and get permission to be here. So you basically pursue a legal path to status here, permission to work here, and protection from deportation. So I'm going to share with you 5 ways that we're doing this for our clients very quickly. I'm really excited about this too because just last week we've gotten different kinds of results that have gotten our clients relief. So we've gotten T visa approvals that automatically come with the work permits. So my clients are protected. We've gotten bona fide determination the letters. After that's issued, then they process our clients for the work permit. The work permit then gives, along with the bona fide determination, offers our clients solutions. We have gotten VAWA work permit and a travel document, and that now has provided added protection for our clients, reassurance as they wait for their final decisions. So I want to tell you in an orderly manner what this is all about. We are also offering free evaluations, so there's nothing to lose on your part. My priority is to be able to see if we can take your case, if it's a case where we can help you to be able to get your papers here, get your protection from deportation. It's a quick evaluation, initial evaluation that we do. And once we determine that your case is one that we may be able to take, then we focus on strategy and how to move forward in a separate strategy session with our attorney. So there's nothing to lose to go ahead and call and get that. And we're not scheduling consults, we're not scheduling appointments. We have staff that are lined up to be able to help our clients to determine whether it's a case, because I always get this question. Before I book the appointment, I just want to know, can you help me though? Can you take my case? I always get that question. And so we're making it a lot easier for potential clients to be able to do an evaluation first to determine whether it is a case that we can take, because we don't want to waste your time and money. We want to get straight to the solution. So that's what the purpose of our evaluation is. So get in touch with us. You can call 24/7. What happens is we only do the evaluations during office hours, but get a head start because we're getting a lot of calls and we want to make sure that you are ahead of the game. So make sure that you go ahead and call right now. And when you call, you'll be able to they'll be able to take your name, your information, and we'll be able to call you right back during office hours to go ahead and perform that quick evaluation and then determine whether your case is one that we can take. What's the number so I can call? Is 561-405-4889. It's also going across at the bottom of the screen. So you'll see right there on the screen, this is on Instagram. So Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the number going across along with U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. All right. So the first option here, let's talk about adjustment of status. So if you do qualify through family or even through employment, you may qualify for your work permit while you wait for your green card to come through adjustment of status. So for instance, if you're the immediate relative of a US citizen, that means you're the spouse of a US citizen, you're the parent of a US citizen who is age 21 or older, or you are the son or daughter of a US citizen and you're under the age of 21 and unmarried, then even if you overstayed your visa, you can still qualify for this relief through adjustment of status. They do forgive the fact that you've overstayed if you're the immediate relative of a US citizen. That those are the more common ways. So through marriage or certain family members, those are the more common ways to be able to get your green card fast here. But it is worth talking about, and it's going to be things are going to get a lot more complex in the family and marriage based immigration here in the US. So make sure you have the proper guidance so that everything goes smoothly without a hitch. You can get your work permit in a short period of time, and then your green card. We are looking, so before this administration, and I haven't seen where that has changed yet, it's usually 3 to 5 months. The shortest I've gotten the work permit is 2 weeks. So we have gotten those pretty quickly. But keep in mind that you want to be ahead of the game, so get on it right now. We do anticipate a lot of changes that will be coming. So in the last time that I practiced under the Trump administration, there were a number of changes that did make it harder to get the green card through even marriage and family. So we are likely to see at some point, thank you so much for the gifts, I appreciate it. We're likely to see changes like them requiring the interview at some point, I suspect in the near future, possibly this year. We are looking at probably increased fees, maybe even fees on humanitarian base. So that's fee applications. There are no fees right now, but we are probably going to have to expect fees to come back at some point. The public charge rule is a big one, and it's a big change. It's already complicated for people, and because of that, it tends to be that weak spot that gets a lot of people denied. We're probably going to be seeing that coming back. Now, the new public charge rule is much more intense than the current one. And that's why it's so much more important to get on it, to file your papers right away, because if you're subject to the public charge rule, because with the public charge rule, the new one that is probably going to be coming back, Biden terminated it. It was under Trump, and the courts did allow it to move forward. So it's likely to move forward again. But what's going to happen under this one is that they're not only just going to look at the income of the person that's petitioning for you, but they're going to look at the background of the immigrant who is being sponsored. So they're going to look at loans, household size, education, medical history, employment history. Those are just some of the factors that they're going to be considering now, right? So if, for example, you've been here for a while, you're being sponsored by a spouse, and then you maybe over the years you've gone through some stuff and your credit is really shot. Maybe you're in debt, heavily in debt. That can now be used again. It's not the rule now, but based on the past we call it Trump 1. So based on Trump 1, we're expecting it to come back under Trump 2. So I would say here, for family-based immigration that's subject to the public charge rule, get those applications in ASAP. There's no time to wait, because the longer you wait is the more risk that you're gonna end up facing those changes. Another thing to keep in mind here is that it's expected to put a lot of these applications through a more hefty fraud detection process. So make sure that you're prepared for longer processing times. And I know it's hard to imagine longer processing times than we do have now, but gear up, because that's a possibility. So just gave you a quick rundown of family-based immigration, how you're able to get your work permit while you go through that process. Now, there are other types of options that we look at. If you've been mistreated by a US citizen or a legal permanent resident, a spouse, a parent, if you're under 24, under 25, or a US citizen son or daughter who's age 21 or older, then that means that you are looking at qualifying under VAWA. If you are married now, right, and you're listening to this, you're married to a spouse, or you're living with your parent, or you're living with your adult citizen child 21 or older, and you are frustrated right now because they are refusing to submit your papers, and you know that they're doing that to hold your immigration status over your head. On top of that, they are mistreating you, then you should seriously consider VAWA. So we'll be able to talk to you in an initial evaluation, determine whether that's an option that you can pursue, and then we'll talk more in detail in a strategy session to talk about moving forward and getting to work as soon as possible. What VAWA does is it allows you to get to your green card, but while you wait for the green card, you will be able to apply for your work permit and your travel document. So it gives you the freedom, the ability, freedom of travel, although it's not my endorsement to travel. I apply for the travel document for my clients in case they do have emergencies. They have to travel, that is available. But me saying, applying or telling you that we've gotten a travel document approved is not a, you know, full on endorsement of any recommendations to travel, but it is an option. Now, the work permit and the travel document, right now, it takes 6 months to 12 months to get there. But keep in mind that once the application goes in, you are issued a prima facie determination. Somebody just mentioned it here. Is it normal to renew your prima facie if it's expired? They will automatically renew the prima facie. And the reason why I have this question here is because the prima facie gives protection, right? Because it's saying hold everything in place. Don't take any actions. For example, don't take any immigration enforcement actions until we make a decision on the VAWA, and it allows you to get benefits while you're on the while you have the prima facie. And in some states, you can even get your driver's license with the prima facie determination letter. Then after that, the work permit comes while you wait for the green card. So it's basically a journey over. It does take 2.5 to 3 years to get to the green card. But in the meantime, you're offered the protection of work permit, which is proof that you do have permission to be here, and that means it protects you from detention. So you're much, much, much less likely to be detained if you're stopped by ICE, because you can clearly show that you have permission to be here. So keep that in mind. That's why I'm talking about the work permit and the ways to be able to get the work permit tonight. Now, the other option, so that's VAWA, keep in mind, is confidential. So yes, it's based on the mistreatment by a relative, by a certain relative or a spouse, but under the law, they cannot share this information with the spouse or relative. They cannot disclose it outside of the agency that's deciding it. So it's confidential. Hi there, Donna. It's nice to see you. Hi there, Travis. It's nice to see you. I'm going to answer questions after this. So right now I'm talking, I'm giving you updates, but right after this, I'll go through questions. So start putting your questions in the comments. So that's VAWA. So we just talked about family-based. We talked about VAWA. The next are, and I'm going to bundle the two together. So the T visa and the U visa. Now for the T visa, here's how I like to put it. The T visa is for victims of trafficking. Now, Before you X yourself out, before I started to practice, even I was very misinformed about what trafficking is. I had a certain picture of trafficking based on all I saw on TV, which mostly highlights sex trafficking, but nothing, not really. It doesn't highlight much of the other forms of trafficking. For example, labor trafficking and the ways in which somebody can be trafficked. It doesn't mean that somebody has to be chained down or physically forced or abused to do things. It can come in manipulation, coercion, threats. Those also can cause for somebody to be able to comply with any demands of a third party. So for the T visa, what we do is we mainly look at, was there a person, right? Whether it's an employer, a relative, friend, anybody, intimate partner, who, yes, and intimate partners can traffic their significant other too. We have gotten approvals on that. They've had children together, they've been living together, and yes, that still was a trafficking situation because of what my client was forced to do while they were living with that partner. They wanted to leave, they didn't have the option to leave because the partner threatened to call immigration and they had nowhere else to go, right? So those created the ripe conditions for the trafficker to be able to restrict the movements of my client. And that was how they were able to get relief to escape the situation. That's an example, right? So I always say, if you're in a situation where someone in the past, anytime in the past, because we hold these experiences to ourselves, we keep them to ourselves. It wasn't, you may think uh, it wasn't as bad as you thought. Maybe you minimize it. You have to brush it off and keep moving just to survive when you deserve to get the relief here. So if at any point you experience this, you have a chance at applying for the T visa as a victim of trafficking. Was there a person or a business that forced you to do things that you would not have agreed to do had they not taken certain actions to make you feel like you had to do it, right? They were threatening, they were intimidating, maybe they withheld necessities from you that you felt like if you didn't do what they wanted, you couldn't access things like food and shelter. Then that it can be considered a form of trafficking. Get in touch with us. We'll do a more deep dive into what you experienced to be able to tell you whether we can take your case and then get started on strategy to move forward. We're working very fast and the schedule is filling up. So make sure you get on it, make sure you call so that we can start taking action on your case. All right. So that the U visa is another situation where if you've been the victim of a crime, you've been abused, you've been through domestic violence, assault, anything that resulted in your physical or mental abuse can be eligible for the U visa, where you can get deferred action. The entire wait time for the U visa is 10 years, 7 to 10 years. But keep in mind that you do get protection for the time that you have to wait for your U visa to come through. So it is still a really good option. If it's your last option, it's still a good option. Usually, the work permit comes in about a year and a half to 2 years. And you do get a bona fide letter that also provides protection for you while you wait. So you get multiple ways to get protected through deferred action, through the bona fide letter, and then through the work permit that is renewable for the time that you're here on the U visa. So the last one is asylum, and you need to listen up with that one. See, our asylum seekers to be deported, they do have to give you the opportunity to have your case considered. We are facing a very, very big backlog, though. We're looking at 3.5 million cases that are pending right now. And on top of that, they've just fired 15 immigration judges that were appointed under the Biden administration. So, in terms of processing times, it's not looking great. But you do, under the law, you do still have to have your case heard and decided. So if it's approved, you get asylum. And after a year of having asylum, you get to apply for your green card. If it's denied, for example, if you apply for it, it's denied, then they will give you an opportunity to then go before a judge, and the judge will have the final say about whether you leave or not. All of that takes time. Right now, court cases are being scheduled in 2027. That's how backlogged they are right now. I do anticipate that even though we have judges that have been fired, I do anticipate they are going to replace those judges with, of course, more conservative judges that maybe would look at the cases or have a tradition of looking at the cases in a certain way. So that's asylum, though. But the thing about asylum here is that you are able to apply for your work permit at the 150 days. After applying, you submit your work permit application, and then 30 days later, you do get your work permit. The last Trump one, they did limit the ability to get the work permit, so that may be coming again. So for example, those who applied for the work permit, they had to wait a year before they could get the work permit. Right now, you just have to wait the 6 months. You apply at the 5 month mark and you get it on the 6 month. So here's where I say, do not wait. Make sure that you get started on your case, because remember this too, guys, you still have to give the attorney time to work on your case. So that's where you need to make sure that you take action quickly, because here at the firm, we're very thorough and we're very strategic. And because of that, we make sure we go through multiple layers of review of our cases, because sometimes you only have one shot. And with this administration, in many cases, there's one shot at a decision. They're not really giving you a lot of chances. And so if you're going to hire a lawyer, you have to make sure that you get started now, because we're getting busy. I know I'm very busy right now, and just we're making room for as many people as possible, but we're very busy right now, and we still have to maintain the level of quality that we have under the strain and the pressures that are coming, the anxiety about the changes coming. We still have to work to make sure that the applications are solid. So give time. You need to apply early so that there's time to do the same, so that there are no devastating mistakes being made during the process that cannot be reversed, or that it's gonna be very hard. Hi there, Karen. It's nice to see you. All right. So that in a nutshell. Okay, so asylum now. Before I take questions, because this is important. Now, if you've been here for less than a year, you need to apply for asylum. Because with the asylum, now they have limited asylum at the border. However, the affirmative asylum, you can still apply for that, but you have to, we do expect that. And there are lawsuits that are also challenging any restrictions of the asylum at the border, or to people who are seeking refuge even outside of the United States through a legal asylum process. Now, you do have to show that you have been persecuted or you face past persecution in your country. So what that means is, doesn't mean that if you got robbed, right? Say you got robbed and now you're seeking asylum, that is not going to cut it. The standards of asylum is still high. It's very high, and there are certain legal requirements. So it's not just because you're afraid to go back to your country, but you also have to show that you have a credible fear of persecution. That means a believable, viable fear of persecution in your country, or you've been persecuted in the past. And it's only limited to a certain class or certain factors. So those would be, were you persecuted? So it's not, well, I looked like I had money, so they robbed me. They robbed me one time, and because of that, I'm afraid to go back. Unfortunately, that would not cut it, because you have to show that you've been targeted based on your political opinion, your ethnicity, your nationality, your religion, or a particular social group that you belong to. Now, yes, we all know about the ethnicity, the political opinion, religion, right? If you're in a country, for example, and you're the minority and you follow a certain faith, and then the majority of the country follows another faith, and now you're being targeted with violence and threats, and threats of being locked up and put through these kinds of harms, then you can qualify for asylum based on persecution, credible fear of persecution, based on based on religion, right? So you're likely to face persecution based on religion. No, the catch-all is the particular social group. If you can relate to a group in your country, an identifiable group that as a group they are known to be persecuted or targeted in your country, then that can also be be a basis for asylum. Sometimes it is something that we can argue, right? So, for example, there are cases where they found a particular social group where boys who are of a certain age, who are at an age where they are vulnerable to gang recruitment, are being targeted with violence when they refuse to join the gang. That was seen as a particular social group. So even though, so there's nothing in the rules that say you have to show you're being persecuted based on gang violence, but there is the definition that you can show you are being targeted based on a particular social group. And in this case, the particular social group is a boy of a certain age who is now being recruited by the gang, who is now being threatened with violence, or being threatened to be killed if they don't join the gang, and so they're not safe anywhere in their country. So keep that in mind, that if I would say this for this one, because I want to do the hard thinking, and have we want to do that in the initial evaluation, but I would say this: if you are afraid to go back to your country because you have been threatened with violence because of characteristics that you hold, or because of a belief that you held, or because of your identity, it's time to give us a call, and then we can go into the nitty gritty of it, and then we can talk about strategy going forward to be able to file your asylum application quickly. There is a deadline. If you pass the deadline of 1 year, it gets a lot harder to get your case approved. So keep that in mind, that you should not be waiting for 1 year past the date of your entry into the United States. They're very strict on it. And if you are going to if you're going to apply after the year, there are certain things you have to show, which it gets harder to show that you still qualify for asylum. All right, those are it. So we talked about adjustment of status, VAWA, the T visa, U visa, asylum. Now, I do also represent clients who have extreme cases that they may not qualify for any of those, but they have an extreme case where they are facing severe medical ailments that if they left their country, they would not be able to get that life-saving treatment in their country. It's called deferred action, medical deferred action. And actually, just last week, we got an approval based on deferred action. So if you are, I'm saying this, don't count yourself out of anything, because we look at all the alternative options that can help to get you the relief, because it takes being able to show the government that you do qualify for this kind of relief. If you don't, if you don't make it clear that you do qualify for this relief, then you are leaving yourself open and vulnerable to ICE enforcement, detention, and by that point, they're not listening. They're not stopping to listen. Especially, I just released a video about expedited removal, especially if you've been here for less than 2 years. They don't have to listen. They can just send you out of the country. So keep that in mind, that we're focused on options here. All right, so let me answer some questions. I'm going to start with Instagram. I'm always starting with TikTok. I'm going to start with Instagram, YouTube, and then TikTok. Keep putting your questions in the comments, though. I'm going to get around to yours. So is it safe for an undocumented parent to apply for U.S. citizen kids' passport? So I would say yes. I mean, usually, now keep in mind that you do have to go to public locations to be able to. You have to go to public locations to apply for your passport, and that presents a certain level of risk. If you are Public places are subject to ICE enforcement, right? That's the rule. So you just have to be very careful about how you have to be careful, be very aware of your environment. And I do know applying for the passport of your US citizen children does require in person appointments. So usually in that location, so they're not necessarily in the business of ICE enforcement. However, it doesn't stop them from being outside of the building. So you just want to be aware of that. So applying for your kid's passport, that is fine. But the process of getting there and going to the public location, you just have to be aware of your location and what's going on in that area. I came on J1 and overstayed. I'm here 22 years. Can I apply for U visa if I was a victim of robbery 9 years ago? I went to the police with this also as a victim of domestic violence, but my ex, he died. So yes, definitely. Both. So robbery, it depends on what happened, the facts with the robbery. But with the domestic violence, absolutely, you do qualify. If you reported it to police, then there is a possibility of getting a U certification. Now, the difference between the T visa and the U certification is T visa doesn't necessarily require a certification. However, the U visa does. The U visa, the police that where you reported the crime to, or the prosecutor, they can sign a U certification. So what we do is we do get in touch with them to try to get the certification first and then apply. It is definitely, definitely worth it. So give us a call and let's get started, so we can pursue that for you. How can an F1 visa get work permit? So the F1, usually if There are certain cases where if you're facing extraordinary circumstances, you may be able to apply for a work permit to help with the financial struggles that you may be facing. But other than that, it's going to be OPT. So during the time after 1 year of going to school, then after that, you are allowed to work on a limited basis. And then right after you graduate, you are allowed 1 year OPT. We have to see where that goes, if that changes, because I've been hearing a lot of buzz about changing OPT rules. But for now, that's how it goes. So it is, there are limitations. So my dad been here 8 years on a visa, but overstayed. I'm a citizen. How do I file for him? Okay. So if you're a US citizen and you're 21 or older and your dad entered with a visa, then you can sponsor your parent through adjustment of status. I would say jump on it. Let's talk about what's going on and then let's get started ASAP. But um, yeah, it looks on, I don't know your age, but if you are 21 or older, you're a US citizen, your father came in with a visa, they qualify for that first uh, way to get the work permit that I described, and that is adjustment of status. What are the chances of H-1B renewal? My visa ends on September 29th. So that really depends on a number of factors, which is the employer. It depends on whether you qualify based on the standards of the application process. So I wouldn't be able to tell you your chances until I know your case. Can my aunt adopt my 17 and 20-year-old kids if they overstay their visa? No. So that is it can't be that way. Unfortunately, they would have had to be at least under 16 to be able to be adopted and then go through that process. Can a person apply for work permit without a lawyer after filing for asylum? You can do anything without a lawyer, but would you? Right? That's the question. Do you have the expertise and the knowledge to be able to do this right so you don't mess up your case, especially with all the complexities? So anybody can do something without a lawyer, and in not only in immigration, but across the board, people do that and end up getting into problems, right? If they do it. So look at it that way. If your child is an American citizen and you live in Jamaica, will there be a problem when returning, example, visiting and returning to Jamaica? Yeah, there may be. I don't know how old you are, but there may be a problem. If, for example, I don't know how old your U.S. citizen child is, but they may look at it as if you have a U.S. citizen child here, they may see it as one less, one more reason that you don't have strong ties to your home country. If you had your child here in the US, so that also happens a lot. If you had your child in the US and if you ended up taking out Medicaid, they do have a way to see that. And if they see that, they can revoke your visa based on public charge, right? The same thing I talked about before, because the public charge rule is basically them saying, are you likely to depend on the public assistance, primarily on public assistance. So Medicaid is considered like a public assistance. So if they do see that you on your visa took out Medicaid, then they're definitely gonna be likely to cancel the visa. So there are some risk factors there, but I don't know your full case, and I can't give you personalized legal advice. So make sure you definitely seek the advice of an attorney. With all these changes in Homeland Security, affect these process with all the changes. So yeah. So everything I've been talking about here, I have been describing potential changes coming in. Homeland Security, USCIS is under the Department of Homeland Security. We're gonna expect changes over time. Uh, Now, they did sign, President Trump did sign an executive order that basically said go. So he basically assigned the secretaries of the different agencies to look at the process, look at the vetting processes, to be able to give a report on how these processes are, and then within 60 days provide recommendations and information that can probably help them to make changes, especially with visas, especially with visas. So we are going to see changes. I think right now they're evaluating those what they're going to do, but it's coming. And many of the things I've been saying before, make sure you take heed, because I do know I've come from that. I've most of my a substantial number of years that I practiced was, well, the entire 4 years that Trump was president. So I became barred in 2013, right at the tail end of Obama's presidency. And it was really, I launched a law firm right before President Trump was inaugurated. So that should tell you, coming out of the Trump administration, I really found it weird. Going from the very stringent policies under the Trump administration to Biden withdrawing a lot of those policies. I had been so used to those policies, it just was part of life for me at the law firm to be able to make sure that everything was to the specifications of the Trump administration. So I know very well what's coming, because I was there and I practiced for those years under that. That was all I knew for a while, was the Trump administration. So it definitely presented a great training for me to get ready for this Trump tool. Let's see. With all these so I answered that. Is there a problem for anyone who came on F1 and applied for asylum? Not necessarily. But I don't know your case. It really depends on facts here, because I have had consultations with people who I would have never told them to apply for asylum. So it just depends on your facts here. What's the asylum based on? Is it a valid type of asylum? This is where it's very important to get legal advice or talk to your attorney. I would think if you have an attorney, your attorney would have advised you on that. You get an immigrant visa interview date and you already done your medical. Does that mean it's good? Yeah, definitely means your case is moving forward. You have the interview date, you did done your medical, you just have to show up to your interview. Sounds good to me. A lot of people are wishing to be in your place right now, because the wait is about a year and a half to 2 years, so it's very frustrating. Um, Is this live to answer questions, or should I make an appointment? Both. So keep in mind that my answers here are general information. It's not personalized legal advice. So if you have personal concerns, that's where you can give us a call, talk to us in an initial evaluation. That way we can know right off the bat that your case is a case we can take, and then we get started. Can a person file for work permit without a lawyer? So I answered that. What's the number so I can call? 561-405-4889. It's also going across the screen. My child was born in the US and I'm from Jamaica. I've traveled back to the US with her only one time. Will there be a problem to bring her to visit as we live in Jamaica? It's possible if you've had a history of taking Medicaid or any kind of public assistance, then that may be an issue with your visitor's visa. Okay, greetings from Asia. Hi there. May I apply for a work permit even I'm in my home country, Philippines? You'd have to get a work visa, not a work permit. Work permits are for certain individuals who qualify for certain benefits who live in the United States, who are in the United States. If you're outside of the United States, you're looking at a work visa. It's likely going to be through an employer. You're very welcome, Berryman Andrea. Please explain VAWA process. I really hope my explanation was helpful. I already explained it. So the next thing you have to do is just get in touch because that's exactly what we work on. I'm on YouTube now. So go ahead, put your questions, and then I'm going to TikTok next. So hang tight. I'm sure we all can learn from the questions here. As I requested my renewal to my embassy here in US, while my asylum was pending, will I face problems if I travel outside the US by CDP to re-enter? Any kind of travel outside of the US while you have asylum is going to be a big, big risk. So make sure you get legal advice about what's happening. I don't know your facts. I don't know what's required to get that passport. And in this case, is it even contradictory to apply for a passport from your country that you're applying for asylum? So you have to definitely get legal advice. But I would say do not leave the country until you fully understand the risk and consequences of that. I applied for VAWA in November 2024, and more than 3 months from now, I didn't receive my receipt notice, how they will count my work permit time. So usually they count it from the time that they get the application in. What I do is hopefully you tracked your application. We track all our applications to make sure they got there. So look to see. I don't know if you do have tracking, but look to see if they did get it. If they did get it, it may be a very busy time. I had the longest I've had to wait for a receipt notice was 4 months, which was really nerve-wracking. But we knew that they had it, so we just waited for them to send a correspondence regarding the application. Call them if I mean 3 months is a long time, so also you can call them, and after they've verified your identity, they may be able to help you that way as well. I got I-693 requests after VAWA approved. Is that mean interview waived? So it used to be. Hopefully it still is. That is a good sign. But keep in mind that they can still reserve the right to schedule the interview. I need your address and phone number for me to contact you because I want you to be my attorney for my case in September. So go ahead. You'll see the number going across the screen. Go ahead and call the number. They'll be able to also give you the address. We're in Delray Beach at 1615 South Congress Avenue, Suite 103. So that's the address, and they'll be able to also give you that address when you call. But we usually schedule by phone. So we do an initial evaluation first to make sure we're not wasting your time or money, make sure it's a case that we can take. And then we go ahead and schedule an appointment so that we can talk about strategy in your case. There are 2 attorneys right now that do work closely with me to be able to talk about strategy and to be able to plan out the cases that we take. Um, as I requested my renewal, okay, so I answered that. Can you say if this means I-45 interview has been waived? It shows on my account all the steps have been checked, including attending interview. So it's a good sign. So if they do, if you do get that without the interview, no, that's a great sign, and you're just in time. I applied my VAWA in November 2024, and more than 3 months from now, I didn't. Oh, so I answered that. Um, I'm sorry, I'm tending to my son. My son needs a pencil. He's doing his homework. There you go. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So yeah, that's a great sign. That's a great sign. Thank you so much for the love on TikTok and the love on all three platforms. I appreciate it. Uh, I received, let's see, I received prima facie letter, but did not receive my work permit and social. What should I do? Did you apply for the adjustment of status application along with the VAWA? If you did, then it's just a matter of waiting it out. It can be 6 months to 12 months. Hi, I got a letter RFE from USCIS after my biometric asking for medical and birth certificate. I'm married to a US citizen. What can I expect? So this looks like no, under the Biden administration, and hopefully it's carrying over to this administration. But as I said before, we're really early on in the year, and we can expect changes to come as we go through the year. That's how it was last time when Trump won, is it took time for them to roll these changes out. So, and as you can see, they're very busy with all sorts of chaotic stuff right now, Doge and all sorts of, and I'm pretty sure they're definitely working to make those policy changes in the USCIS at the Department of State regarding visas. So they're going to roll these things out. So as long as you are getting them waived right now, that's a good thing. It means they're moving things along. So let's hope, though, right? I am predicting these kinds of changes will be rolled out over the next year, over the next 4 years, that we're going to be on this ride together. But let's also think positively. I am working to do that. That has brought me a long way to think positively. So it may not go that way based on history. It may just be miraculous that we do have these great policies stay in place for certain applications. Okay. I filed for VAWA, received prima facie determination, fingerprint was waived. So approximately after how many months USIS will give me final determination about my case? So I'd say 2.5 to 3 years. In the meantime, you can apply, you may be able to apply for adjustment of status. In most cases, you're able to apply for adjustment of status, and that would give you your work permit, your travel document. Is it true that the last VAWA reauthorization ends 2027 and will require current president to sign reauthorized statute along with Congress? So I have not heard anything about that. I would have to check to see if there's anything like that. But I have not heard any such thing. I'll let you know in the next live, though. I've applied asylum and pending for work permit. Will I be deported? It's unlikely. You do have to wait for your case. You even if they did detain you, you would still have to have your opportunity to go before a judge to have them decide your case. So, good night. What is the cost for the work permit and social? So The way it works is the work permit, we don't just apply for the work permit. We check to see what you qualify for. And then if you qualify for a benefit or relief, then we can apply for the work permit at the same time. How long does it take to get a travel document, work permit after filing for a T? So travel document, you don't get travel document with T. So keep that in mind. The T visa is there to give you relief, give you the ability to live and work in the US, gives you the ability to apply for the green card, but you don't get the automatic ability to get the travel document. So don't make the mistake of hopping on a plane with a T visa because you won't get back in. Now, I would say this right now, there's a bona fide determination process, and we are waiting to see how long they're taking. So with the bona fides, it's taking 70 to 90 days. And then after that, they start to process for the work permit. And work permits would take probably another 3 to 6 months. So that's a timeline right now. We'll see. No, what I did want to say though. If that does change where they are not going to do the bona fides anymore, then the time to wait for the work permit upon approval of the T would be about 12 to 18 months after it's filed. Hi there, Travis. All right, so now I'm on TikTok. So I'm going to go through questions quickly. I'm Canadian citizen, married to US citizen, living in Canada. Can I apply for the green card? You can start applying for the green card, but when it gets towards the end process, your spouse has to show domicile in the United States. So they have to show that they're settled or they have basically a place of residence in the United States. Can I travel to another state just with my work permit and social? Yes, so the work permit, it allows you that flexibility to travel. Now, when it comes though to, I know they have the real ID coming out and they are going to have more stringent requirements to travel on a plane. If that's the case, make sure you contact the airline or you look at the guidelines at the airport regarding what's acceptable as identification to get on the plane. But if you have the work permit, then I wouldn't be concerned about the risk, any risk that you face, because you have permission to be here. So traveling inside the United States is fine. How long do I have to wait to apply for citizenship after having green card? 3 years if you're married to a U.S. citizen, 5 years in any other case. If you're in the military, it could be 6 months to 12 months, depending on if there's a conflict or a war going on or not. How long does USCIS take to respond to US citizen marriage-based petition? About 2 weeks. How do I know if my husband got his green card? I think because you never went to an interview. So the I-485 is going to be approved, and then you get the green card afterwards. If the ban includes Syria, will it affect my wife? 130. She's Syrian and I'm US citizen. So what happened was during the last ban, they did allow certain relatives to still go through, like immediate relatives of US citizens to be able to bypass the ban. So that may happen now. The ban 2.0, who knows? What it's going to look like. It might be a little more extreme because they're not the language of the executive order. Not only did it talk about national security threat, but also other types of ideologies that threaten the United States or is contrary to the United States could be included in that. So we have to see if they're going to expand that too. Beyond what it was in 1.0 ban. Do both have to do the interview? If they do call you for a marriage-based interview, yes, you both should be going to yeah, in most cases must go to the interview. If not, they can deny your application. I get my work permit December 20th, my social, and apply for a job, and I do my job interview. Congrats, and all no background check can't come through. So that's a job thing. But it's good you have your work permit, but you have to talk to the job about that or whoever is doing the background check. How long does USCIS take to respond to USD citizen marriage based petition? I'd say 2 weeks. I'm trying to schedule a consultation but can't. Okay, so you should call the number, and if you go to the website, so right now what we do is we do an initial evaluation because we don't want to waste your time, we don't want to waste your money. We want to make sure that, because I always get this question about, can you take my case first? And so we do want to give you the opportunity to speak with you first to find out what what your needs are and be able to confirm that yes, we can take the case. And at that point, we here in the office schedule the appointment. So what you can do is go to the website for right now, go to the website and click on the website and fill out your information. And then we'll be able to call you during office hours to be able to do the evaluation, confirm that you do qualify for help from us, and then we move from there. Do you take cases in New Jersey? Yes, absolutely. We represent clients in all 50 states and the globe. What's processing times for VAWA C31AD? So about 2.5 to 3 years. So once your VAWA is approved, by the way, you get another work permit. And that's to show that while you wait for the green card, you can be on that work permit. US citizens filing I-130 petition for my wife. How long is the approval process? So I-130, if your spouse is outside of the United States, um, then you're looking at 2.5, I would say 2 years, a year and a half to 2 years. If your spouse is in the US, then you should be filing the I-130 along with other forms like the adjustment of status form that allows them to get the green card here. And right now you're looking at 10 to 12 months. After 180 days, so after 180 days of applying for a work permit and you didn't receive it, what's next to do? If it's asylum, it depends. You have to contact them regarding the status. How long after you get married can you put in your papers? Right away, but here's what I always say. The one big mistake I see people making is they go ahead and submit the papers quickly without giving really good, solid evidence of bona fides, and that's where the problems start. And I have seen this go unbelievably bad. Starting with that, the fact that the application did not have enough evidence. So you just have to make sure that if you're going to file it, say the day after you get married, do you have the evidence to attach to make your case very strong? Do not submit that application, because the mistake I saw was, okay, let's just rush it in and we'll figure out the rest. We'll just send the rest of the documents when they ask for it. And then before you know it, they're getting a denial. It gets very stressful because now they're responding to requests for evidence. They're facing delays. So that is the only consideration I would say is like, okay, you get married, how soon can you submit it? It depends on how much have you prepared your case. And we help with that. We help our clients to be able to file these. We're very good at it. So that's where I leave it to you to reach out for help so that we can get your case in ASAP. I-134 siblings through adoption, but they received citizen from adopt family. Does she qualify? It's So it depends. Uh, if you're legally your siblings, then yes, it should be fine. But um, if the sibling that the person is trying to adopt is that relationship was cut off by the adoption, then they may not qualify. So I would say definitely get in touch. Um, if the ban includes Syria, will it affect my wife? So as I said before, the bans on countries, they did make an exception for certain relatives of U.S. citizens and permanent residents. What is the UNHCR refugee status? So I'm thinking you're referring to the fact that they had put a halt. So the executive action under Trump put a halt to refugee programs. That means bringing refugees into the country to resettle in the United States. They're currently suing. So we'll have to see what happens there. My friend was detained at MIA. She has a green card, but had a felony over 10 years, right? So, exactly. And what happened is I don't know if she's detained still, but what they do is they're going to issue her a notice to appear in court because now they see her as deportable for the felony. So, be very careful about traveling with a criminal record. If the ban includes Syria, will it affect okay, so I answered that. Where are you located? We're in Delray Beach, Florida. We also have an office in Boca Raton. I no longer want to, uh, okay, I'm so sorry about that, Veronica. But I'm so sorry that that happened. But you should consult uh, a family law attorney. And usually I don't advise. I'm not the one to come to advise on stopping anybody's papers. I that would be against the kind of work that I do for immigrants, but I do understand your situation and I empathize with you. I think you should consult an immigrant family law attorney that can help guide you through the avenues to be able to restrict your spouse. My 18-year-old son got an RFE, how to respond. It depends. RFEs come in different shapes, sizes, complexities, simplicities. It just depends on what the issue is. So I would say this, definitely get in touch with us and we can talk to you about whether this is a case that we can take and how we can respond. Keep in mind, RFEs they only give a limited amount of time to respond and they're very serious. Under this administration, I'm telling you, the last time I practiced under the administration, the RFEs, you could not miss the deadlines because instantly, deadline missed, it's a denial. So just make sure you keep the deadline in mind and get legal advice ASAP. I've been waiting on my VAWA case. Yep, VAWA does take a while, but it does offer good benefits while you wait. And right now, that's the important thing that you get protection while you wait. With the I-601 waiver approved, could a work permit be issued while waiting for appointment? No. That is a downside of the I-601A process. There's no work permit. Is it an asylum in it? Is it an asylum in with a B1, B2 visa can adjust a status? Okay, so I guess can as someone who's applying for asylum who came in with a B1, B2 visa adjust status through marriage is possible. But in cases like this where you already, oh, thanks, Mel Salvation, where you already have an asylum case pending, we have to know what the facts are to make sure that's advisable for you. Yeah, so the U visa is taking a very long time right now. Absolutely. So it's taking many years to get to the U visa. But the upside of the U visa, so we do have clients on the U visa and they have gotten deferred action. So they have protection, they have their work permit, and that allows them protection while they wait, and it's renewable throughout this time. So if it's your last option, it's your only option. 20 years of renewing a work permit and deferred action while you wait for your case to be processed is much better than no protection at all. But it is taking a very long time. Are you still doing waivers for green card are they still doing waivers for green card interviews? So far we haven't seen any changes with that. I do anticipate those will be rolling out soon, those changes. I'm hopeful not. I think it's a good policy to keep the processing times moving along, but we have to be ready for anything based on the previous actions of the administration. So I would say right now we haven't seen any changes with waiving interviews, but be ready for anything because they did change it to everybody had to go to interviews. Is it normal for VAWA to be pending for 4.5 years and only receiving prima facie no RFE? 4.5, I'd have to look at the total processing times. On average, it's about 3 years. But some cases might go as long as 4.5, depending on what their case processing times look like. So it might warrant a case inquiry if it's beyond the average time, their average processing times. Revower, but my abuser is an LPR. Can I still complete a Form I-485 and EAD app with I-360? Great question. What I would say here is more important for you than ever to apply now if you have an LPR spouse, a parent, because what happens is the clock is you can apply for adjustment of status when your name, or I should say your number, gets to the top of the wait list. So it's called a priority date. If you the longer you wait to apply that, the longer down that wait list the priority date is going to be. So we that's what we've done for our clients, and they have already gotten their work permits. They're very happy because our clients were married to legal permanent residents. So they couldn't apply for the work permit at the same time as VAWA. But to get to the adjustment of status and the work permit, they had to file the petition first. Once a petition is filed, they get a priority date. And then we wait for the date to come to the top of the wait list. And once it's at the top of the wait list, then we can apply for the work permit and adjustment of status. So it's more important than ever to get started on that. VAWA, get in touch with us. That's exactly what we do. So let's talk. Is it normal for VAWA to be pending? Okay, so I answered that. If you didn't come through a port of entry, there's nothing you can do, not necessarily. And this is exactly why I say give us a call, because we look at options that normally attorneys don't ask those options. If you didn't come through a port of entry, then my next question would be then, what were the circumstances of your entry? What have you been through since you've been here? There may be still be relief for you. So That's where we have to talk. And that's why we have the evaluation to be able to do an initial analysis of your situation to determine whether we can help you. So get in touch with us. So, how long does it take to get physical mail after receiving text? So, I would say about a week after, if you're talking about when they receive the documents. Is it normal for VAWA to be? I'll answer that. Uh, What can I do if the BIE denied my pending appeal? I'm so sorry if that happened. And I have an I-130. So this definitely goes into complex territory because, once you've gone to the BIA, they've denied your appeal, then it really is a matter of looking at if you have any other options available. So you can always have us review your case again to see if there's anything else that we can do to help you to find options. With regards to advanced parole, I got a job offer that requires me to travel internationally. You will have to understand the risk associated with that. Um, so there's not much else I can say, but it's very risky right now. And what are your goals? What kind of advanced parole is this? So that's where I think talking to your attorney is going to be very, very important. Victim of armed robbery in the job, held to the floor, diagnosed with PTSD. Report says no weapon. So I'm not sure. It sounds like it was very traumatic. It did result in your mental abuse, but I'm not sure what happened here. So definitely give us a call. Let's evaluate and then see if we can get you the U. But we'd have to evaluate the facts here. How long is VAWA taking after prima facie and biometrics done? So I would say, so we do from date of filing, and I would say 2.5 to 3 years. All right. Can one get a job with work permit without SSN? So you can, usually they want to know your social security, and for purposes of the I-9, that may be required. So the job may not accept the work permit without the SSN. You can go to the social security office to make sure that they send the SSN to you. Good night. I have a work permit and social. Can I be deported? It's unlikely. That's why the work permit is there to show that you have the permission to be here and to work. Can you stop deportation if you are in the process of applying for a T or FAWA? It definitely puts you in a much better position to defend against detention and to be able to show that you have a valid reason to be here. So those are good options to seek protection as long as you qualify. I'm from the Caribbean. How long will it take to get an EB3 visa? So it can take, if you're outside of the US, I'm not sure if you're here, make sure you're getting legal advice if you're here, especially if you've overstayed, or if you have not overstayed, still more important than ever to understand your options. But what I would say is if you're here in the country, be careful about the priority date again. That's a trap. That's a pitfall that leads a lot of people to end up disqualifying themselves because they end up overstaying and the priority date was not current when they applied. Usually it's going to be anywhere from I would say 18 months to 2 years to process that with the priority date and the wait time for those, and also the labor certification for the EB3. Okay, I'm in Miami and definitely need to be scheduled. So give us a call, schedule. We do it by phone, the initial evaluation by phone, and then we do video and phone strategy sessions with the attorneys here. So give us a call. I have a T pending since May 20th, 2024. Do you believe I am close to the decision? And also, is it a good or bad that my case does not apply in new T visa rule? So the new T visa rule that was August 28th, 2024, it means that they are likely to make a decision first. If they can't make a decision, they'll send you a bona fide determination while they maybe figure out what additional information they need. It usually takes 12 to 18 months. So I would say you might be close now. How long does a work permit take after getting receipt notice? Family based, 3 to 6 months. Humanitarian based, like VAWA, 6 to 12 months. T visa could be anywhere from 12 months to 18 months after approval of the T visa. I have been waiting for VAWA and I have sent all required documents, and my status has been received, and in other status tracking is my documents as sent to new office. How long? So with VAWA, remember it takes 2.5 to 3 years, but if you apply for a work permit, you could expect that to be processed 6 to 12 months. Did go to the green card interview in February 2024 of last year, but I did call them with my lawyer. Then they send me a denial. So the denial is just depends on the reason. That's the thing. Whenever you get a denial, you're definitely gonna have to speak to an attorney. Can you say how long it normally takes to get the SSN in the mail after getting EAD? Sometimes we even get the SSN before the EAD. I'd say a week apart. Usually, I file my VAWA in September 2023, did biometrics February 2024. Up to now, have not heard from USS. No prima facie. Is that case okay? So that's a long time. Usually, prima facies come within 2 to 3 months. In cases like that, we usually reach out to the VAWA unit and we ask, was it sent? And then we'll get it shortly after. Sometimes it may have been lost in the mail. So I would check, definitely call and check on your case. All right. So that's going to be it for me tonight. Thanks everybody for your time. I really, really appreciate it. I'm going to work to come back tomorrow where I can answer more questions and give you updates. This week, I am going to be at a conference, an immigration conference, getting all the information we need to be prepared for the next, for this administration and the changes to expect, as well as policies. So I'm going to be busy just taking in all that information to make sure we're up to date. But I'm going to work to come on. I'm going to try to come on either really early in the morning or in the night. Tomorrow should be okay in the daytime, but Thursday and Friday I might be here around this time in the night just to share with you updates and as usual solutions, because that's what we're focusing on here, solutions. So thank you again for your time. These are always great questions, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody. Remember, call the office, submit your form with your name, email, so we can, and phone number, so we can give you a call and talk to you about whether or not we can evaluate, we can take your case through the initial evaluation, see if you qualify for one of these options. That's the most important thing, is we want to see if you qualify for an option that would be able to give you the ability to get your papers here. So don't just think about what you know. Think about what you may not know, and the fact that we are evaluating your chances based on options you may not know about. That's the important part, is, we're looking at alternatives. So Tafsir, it's 561-405-4889. If you scroll to the top of this chat, you'll see the number as well. And then on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, it's going across the screen. You'll see the number going across the screen. My number, thank you so much. Yep, it's 561-405-4889. So give us a call. We do the initial evaluations during office hours, but call now, because then you'll be ahead of the game. We'll have your information and we'll give you a call back. And then we'll do that initial evaluation. Once we determine we're definitely, once we determine that we definitely can move forward to figuring out an option for you, then we schedule a strategy session where we get in depth about how to move forward in your case. So do that now, because our schedules are filling up fast. So I want to make sure we help as many people as possible. We're very busy here, so get on it. All right. I can't help you unless you reach out. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.